Well, we know it's demonetized.
I got tons of soul on my true collectible. Famous, so famous, #1 desirable. I do what I want when I want and how I want it. Leave you with the one in the air. That's how I roll. So royal, this is me. I'm so royal.
What is going on, y'all? We are here to talk about Queen and Slim. Ooh. Welcome to another episode of In the Middle. Yes, it's been a long time. We should have left you, but girl, with a beat to step to.
Look at this beat though.
I know.
I don't know. I need a Fenty ad because it lasts.
Can we work it out?
I see. Hey.
Absolutely. We like to see, and you have good politics.
Absolutely.
Period. I mean, they can get that white boy a chance. They can definitely give you one.
We're not here for the white chocolate Reese's.
We not. So we are here to discuss the recent movie Queen and Slim, directed by Lena. We're not gonna say her last name. Miss M. Miss M. That sounds like something off of 007. James Bond type of movie.
Well, I mean, you know, we do love Miss Moneypenny.
Yes, that was your name at one point.
Yes, T. Moneypenny.
So the screenwriting was by our favorite girl, Miss Lena Waithe.
Ooh.
And people have been having some mixed reactions. So we went to go see the movie. Me and Deshauna have seen the movie last week. We went to go see it with Tasia to get a refresher, to go through that trauma and corniness again. Sure. And what were your first thoughts when seeing the conversation about the movie?
So, anytime a piece of black art comes out, especially in this like Twitter era or this moment where like everything is always up for critique, because you know, let's face it, like we all gotta get a bag. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. I figured that there would be divisions. The people that I love, follow, and stand were definitely going to critique it as it needed to be. Okay. And then, I knew the mainstream folks, the ones who want to feel good, who need a sense of hope, they were going to give us the surface, maybe like little subsurface sort of critique. So I tried my best to like read around spoilers, which I feel like I did a really good job because goddamn, this is literally all the internet's been talking about like since Thanksgiving.
It has. Yeah. I feel like nothing else has happened as far as pop culture since Queen and Slim. Like when I was getting ready to talk about all the things that's going on in the week, I was like, honestly, Queen and Slim was the biggest like thing.
Well, it really hasn't even been a week yet. It came out on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yeah. So it has. Today is a week. It's been 7 days.
So I was gonna see it Wednesday night. I did a review about it when I got home, but I didn't like it, so I redid it again. I felt like my energy wasn't there, but it was honestly because the movie it exhausted me.
Yeah.
It exhausted me, and I was just like, girl, I don't know. So I was editing. I was just, let me do it again and talk about some things because. Honestly, the video I did was like 30 minutes long. It was very long. And there were some things that I talked about that I didn't talk about in the review I want to talk about with you all. Especially how I feel about British actors taking on black... Girl, we're going to get into it. I'm just going to let you all know that this is going to be one of those videos, girl. Like
Deshaun has already reached in the back of their locks.
Look.
So we already know how this is going to go.
Deshaun's hand is going to be moving. Tasia's going to give their shit, and I'm just going to be sipping my tea and moving the conversation right along. But I got invited to go see the movie. Well, not go see the trailer. Okay. For a couple of months ago. Me and my boyfriend were invited to go see it. I didn't get a chance to see the trailer. I was one of those people, and I'm glad I didn't. Because they showed, I think, 2 or 3 trailers. Which one works best. I think they were trying to do their best to see how the climate was around something like this. So I'm glad I didn't because I would have went from critiquing how the trailer went to, girl, what is the purpose of this movie? What are y'all trying to do? What genre is this? But when I saw it, there were a couple of things in it that I was not here for. And I want to tell you all, if you have not seen the movie, we're going to be talking about spoilers and stuff. So if you have not seen it, girl, you're going to have to press pause. Because Deshaun has already pressed play, so. So Deshaun, you went to go see it while you were home.
I did.
What do you think about it? Just first, give us an appetizer.
So I thought that. So originally, I didn't have the language to explain exactly what I felt. I was really triggered by the film because, as an organizer, like who has had many face-offs with APD in the city, like it was parts of the movie were like really triggering for me to see, and it was very clear to me that Lena hadn't been a part of grassroots organizing,
Absolutely not.
and that's why she wrote the script the way that she did, and
probably hasn't talked to anybody.
And I'm sure it hasn't. And it was hard to watch because, I've been in ATL where there was a protest that I didn't organize that I went to with a friend of mine whose name is Avery, and we would walk past two police officers. We were just two random niggas just there to support a protest, and I walked past them and heard them say, "Oh look, there's Deshaun and Avery." We. Like that level of hyper visibility in a city because of your organizing is really, 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 really scary and really dangerous. And so to watch that play out on film the way that it did was really traumatizing and re-triggering for me. So what I said initially was that I wanted for the film to do Black Death in a more intentional way with more care, but that's really not what I want, because there is no way to write Black Death with care and with intent. What I wanted was for the film to be less lazy. Okay. It was a lazy film. How we got around to the deaths, how we got around to the protests, how we got around to everything was really lazy. There were a ton of plot holes, and so because of it, it felt like everything was just a bunch of full on trauma without any real
substance
story, any real understanding of what was really happening, and so many parts of the story were missing, and so many parts of the story was overdone or underdone, and so I had a lot of critiques. One of which I wrote about was around the fat folks in the film.
Yes, that's something I picked up. That's something I picked up immediately. But when I read your piece, and I talked to you before it was published. I appreciate you talking about that. And as soon as you talked about some of the things, I was like, oh, I can see that. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind jumping right into the fat phobia that was going on in it. And I was seeing it a second time. I didn't have that trauma that you had with looking at the organizing thing.
I definitely, in the theater, I turned to Deshaun, I was like, this is triggering and this is traumatic. And after we got out of the film, I was like, instant reaction, it's very hard for me to watch TM activism scenes or to read, books.
Especially when they haven't talked to you.
Absolutely not. And as somebody who was on the front line and I still recount memories from being in the streets and facing off with police officers in that way, as my memory is very much bound in trauma. And so I remember shit in cuts and wow, that this did happen. It's flashbacks. I literally have PTSD from doing that shit for 3-4 years in Atlanta consistently.
Straight.
Without stopping, and it's just it's not a choice for us. The moments that you see of us captured in the streets are not choices. We feel it's our duty to do this shit, and to see it portrayed in a certain way, I don't think I'll ever get comfortable seeing BLM era especially, but all sorts of, protest, riot, activism portrayed on screen, even if it is done by Black writers and cinematographers. Great gowns.
Listen, I would say the cinematography was good. Cinematography was good. It gave me, I can tell that the person who was behind Formation did this. I can tell that Insecure was in this. It was just a lot of stuff. It's okay, this is brilliant. And to see two dark-skinned folks as the lead character, something we don't see often, but sometimes I know we get caught up in this representation that we don't see the forest because of the trees. And I got that. So watching it the second time, the triggering part for me was the when we seen that fat character who did not even have a name in the script from what you told me. What was their name in the actual thing? They didn't have an actual name. When you went on
so in the script his name was tall, lanky black man in the original script. However, on IMDb it says large black man.
Now this is the one that got hit by the car, whose son went and got the food.
His name was in the script. He later did get a chance to name himself, and his name was Get Low. In the movie, he never got a name. Never did.
And that was the first point well, it was the first part that people laughed. Like, this is very serious. We just seen a little bit of death, a struggle, like police brutality type of situation, which a lot of folks, I didn't realize that I've had, a couple of run-ins with being pulled over. Went to Mississippi. I was stopped in Mississippi. And they asked me and my boyfriend to get out the car. They asked to search the car. It was just a lot. And I wasn't thinking as like giving them attitude or any of that, because I'm just like, I want to leave here. I don't want to die. I don't want to do any of this. So I'm going to comply. And at the same time, I'm giving them access to all of my stuff to be able to do what they want to do. But all these serious things are going on, and people started laughing when the with the fat part. Like, that was the funny part for everybody. And I'm looking at this like, this ain't it.
Well, Lena Waithe has a history of writing fat characters as the comedic relief, and as these sort of lighthearted, in the face of heaviness, scenes of heaviness. As in her use of characters, I know like Deshawn does a beautiful job of explaining the way that she writes this, like especially in The Chi. I do watch a whole lot of The Chi. I've never missed an episode.
I saw the first two.
Okay, I have not watched The Chi.
The Chi's it's good.
It's a good show,
but
it is,
and it's a really good place if you're looking for like, places to critique culture. Like, I write a lot about the city, so I use the way that she writes the city from the perspective of Black folk, experiencing violence in cities. I use that show a lot. But the way Deshawn points out, sort of like the apparent fat phobia in her writing, I was like, I see all of this in the film, and I didn't even read your piece like in depth because I'm like, I don't want the spoilers, but I want the content. And so having the conversation with you, like, as you were writing it, to see where your head was at, I'm like, and having seen The Chi, I'm like, oh shit, she doing it again. So.
Yeah.
Yes. Again. Nothing new.
Nothing
Same
old. So check out Deshawn's piece in the comment section. I will link it. So Deshawn, tell us what you saw that was like.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like, even when I wrote the piece, people were still talking about that one scene. And what I was wanting to move away from was that one scene, because I didn't want us to get stuck on understanding fat phobia as this thing that's always overt and very clear and very understood, right? Because there were moments in the entire film that were very, very, very anti-fat that folks weren't talking about outside of the piece that I wrote, because everyone was talking about that one scene. So that one scene is very fat phobic, and I also don't want to lay me on it because I want to go into some of the other parts that are really fat phobic. And that is the mechanic, the woman bartender, and the moment towards the middle of the end of the film where they're talking about Skinny Luther versus Fat Luther. And so with the bartender, there's this assumption that people have about fat Black women, that they are to always be the mammies, right? Like, they're to always be the caretakers. And so when I saw this woman who didn't have to tell Ernest was his real name, but didn't have to tell Slim that she recognized him, or didn't have to tell him that that he was safe in her bar, for Lena to write that in there, some people will look at it and say, this is what community is. And I would say that's not true. Because community requires familiarity, and it requires a certain amount of mutual and like consented to boundaries and accountability methods that you cannot have in a first dialogue. And so, like, there's this idea that fat Black women are always supposed to carry thin people through their own shit and make space for them to be held and to be cared for and to be held on to. But my question that I was beginning to ask myself, and what I put in my piece, was, what care did they ever offer her?
Exactly.
At what point did he say to her, should the police come here, this is where our escape route is, so that your bar and yourself is safe?
Exactly.
Or if there is something that happens here in the bar between myself and Queen and another, like, patron, this is what we can do to make sure that we keep as much noise down as possible in your bar. None of that was ever done because the concern wasn't about her. It was about her being concerned about them first. And that is basic 101 mammy archetype. And so that was one of the biggest moments of fat phobia for me. And then to the mechanic, I felt really bothered with that because in the actual script, it literally writes him out to be plump black men.
Oh.
That's like Lena wrote plump black man as the person who's supposed to play.
And he was helping them out too.
And his sole purpose was to be the assistant to these thin people. And every fat character in the film was only supposed to be either comedic relief or people who assist the thin folks on their way to a safe haven. We are the safe bodies for them to dump on, for them to lean on, for them to find protection with, and offer nothing else. Right? So like the mechanic, his whole point was to assist them so much so that we didn't even get to see him mourn his son who was murdered by a police officer. The only moment we got to see him to have emotion outside of being beneficial to them was in the very end when they were murdered and we saw him cry a tear before the scene went away and we never saw him again.
Yeah.
He had no really like substantial reasoning for being in the film other than to assist them, in the same way that the bartender didn't have any real reason to be in the film, in the same way that the fat man and the fat boy in the beginning didn't have any reason to be in the film. And then we get towards the end where they're talking about Skinny Luther versus Fat Luther, and I think the conversation wouldn't have been as frustrating for me if the rest of the film wasn't the way that it was. But for us to have arrived at that moment where we are hearing Queen talk about how Skinny Luther was a better vocalist because he was taking better care of his health and was doing so forth and so on. His clothes fit better, and like neither of them had. The conversation wasn't around his vocal ability. It was around what his body was doing and what they assumed helped make his vocals better
for them.
But as an actual musician, I was listening and I was like, none of this has anything to do with musicality.
No.
This has to do with your perception of his own body, and that has nothing to do with his vocal ability.
And see, the thing about that point too, I love that you bring up like the Fat Luther and the Skinny Luther argument, because that's part of the laziness that I feel so critical about for this entire film. Lena wrote so many tropes, black tropes, like blackness TM, right? Trademark. This is what every black person probably talks about with another black person, because she needed to write relationship and familiarity into the film. These people are strangers.
Literally.
Like Queen and Slim, because those aren't their names, and we find that, spoilers.
Right.
But that, I feel like the whole movie, they needed to constantly put in there, like, black folks on the run should be able to go and find community anywhere, which that's not how the case is. This isn't some Underground Railroad shit.
Right.
Like, that's
what I was getting from.
And so the scene in the car when they're having this, this Luther Vandross debate, that's written in there as like this plot point. All black folks talk about this, like, you know what I'm saying? It's no different than us rolling out like a spades table, or finding auntie and the fat black woman behind the bar, like. She got so caught up in the script being tropey that there is no like substance and critical thought behind, if I put this character in this position, is it going to be read this way? And it is, because fat folks on film are always already read that way.
Right.
And so I find it, and not even just fat folks, but also the way that poor folks is written in there, the way the South is written in there. I love how in art, and when I say love, not like this is my jam, but like just as a point of critique, when we think about the South, I feel like I want black art to do more with the possible and instead of the impossibility of the South. I think it's very intentionally written that she writes the story as a reverse migration story, that these are, he's a blue collar worker from Ohio, or what is he? A service worker from Costco, in a Rust Belt town, and she is some black lawyer who's a defense attorney. She's supposed to be catty because she gets, criminals off, that sort of thing. And they find freedom and refuge in the South, where we know or historically think that the South is always a place of unfreedom and impossibility.
Right.
And I feel like putting fat, black, Southern characters in this odyssey across the South toward what they think of as refuge, as safety, as haven, as freedom, they can't be disconnected from each other, and they can't be disconnected from the lazy writing in the script.
Absolutely.
I wanted better. I wanted better. And seeing the second time, it was just like you said,
corny.
It was
corny.
very corny. And I see this thing where a lot of like the black folks who are getting the jobs to be able to write and do these and direct these things, it seems like they're just taking shit from Twitter and just saying this is what they talk about this week.
No, they are. It's very obvious.
The reason why I say that because Insecure has been talked about that. Even when they posted the picture, this is the writer's room, and they had the hot sauce and what was it, Hennessy.
Hennessy bottle.
I was just like,
butter and something.
Actually, I got some Jack Daniels, Apple Jack Daniels in here, so I feel like y'all are getting these conversations off of Twitter, and you're just making it. Oh, this is what they want. This is what it is, and
it's no different than Hillary Clinton naming that she has hot sauce in her bag.
Now, the first thing that I did notice about the film, and y'all might not remember this, but you also might. And this is what, like, the beginning of the film, and I knew then that the film would be bullshit. Mm-hmm. When he gets done praying,
ooh, child.
She goes in about him not having the correct order. And Twitter has been on fire for so long now about how black women respond to their man not getting the correct order at restaurants, and like and people talking about their experiences with like how black women engage waiters and waitresses and servers around that, and it's always been like a really fun, light conversation, really funny conversation, really. And for that to have been incorporated in that moment, I was like, no art today could be created without Twitter, and that bothers me most because Twitter won't be forever. Yeah. And so what's happening to our creativity that we have to rely on tweets from other people to be what introduces us to and what creates our art, and what's going to happen when that medium no longer exists. Because like for me, I write because I can write. And I'm going to always have something to write about because I'm going to always have something to think about and think through. If you are writing as a response to a trend, trends always end.
Yeah.
And when the trend is over, then what else do you write about? What else do you do? What else do you create? How else can you be a creator if you have nothing to think about past the trend?
What is the last stage of trend? There isn't. It's just it's done. And once it's not trendy, it's nothing.
I mean, there's a difference between like cultural commentary and cultural critique. And I think when you look historically at folks who are actual cultural critics, who are political like critics who really think about, when we talk about blackness and black art, they take seriously the moments in time, the moments of the past, what they would like to see you think about. I mean, I don't know, James Baldwin, for example, like, yes, James Baldwin is a product of his time, but there's a reason why we still look back and we cite him now.
Right. I was going to say Nina Simone.
Yeah, Nina Simone. Hell, I mean, the people who are writing during, the Harlem Renaissance, like, yes, they're writing about jazz and they're writing about Harlem and the New Negro and, civil rights and shit like that. Right. But it lasts throughout time because they're very critical about blackness, about race, racialization, like the police, like living. There's a reason why I'm able to read Native Son and like look at that shit as a moment of wow, like black folks live in just spaces of carcerality all the time, and that shit is unchanging. I feel like what's happening now are so in the moment. It's almost like when you look back on blaxploitation, for example.
I was thinking about that when watching
blaxploitation. Great films, love to look back on it. Great place to start about urban black life in the 70s. Cool, but is this teaching us real critical lessons as we, in this day and age look back on it? And I feel like a lot of the shit that black folks and black Twitter TM go up for or are taught to go up for through this sort of algorithm trend setting sort of space that we live in on the internet, it's gonna be frozen moments in time when we are older and going back and watching this the same way that our grandparents go back and watch Shaft. It's going to be moments of nostalgia, and for somebody who's living in this moment as a political person, as an activist, as an organizer who's out in the streets, like I don't want to remember these moments in this way because it's not happy, it's not hopeful, it's not rooting for people to get to freedom. I mean, honestly, like what we face as the folks that face the possibility of being martyrs, as Queen and Slim had become, you know, it's a very different reality for us actually living it, and I don't want this to be my time capsule.
So what did we say to the critique of folks saying, I wanted black love, and this is not black love, and I am tired of the slave movies, I'm tired of the trauma, I'm tired of all this, I just want to see them make it. For me, I would have loved to see them get to Cuba. I would have loved, or they could have just cut the scene to the police getting to them, and I never saw anything else.
I would love to see them get to Cuba and lead separate lives.
Really?
Absolutely. Because this was not, they're not in love.
Not in love.
They say that trauma sometimes make people fall.
But it's not
No,
love.
it's not.
It's not love. It
It's
cannot
not
be love.
Listen, because black feminist thought won't let me have hope in this shit. I'm sorry. I don't know. I want us to stop thinking that there is a happy ending for black folks who, air quote, take a stand. And I think the story could have done more to get on that point. If we weren't trying to sell ideas and dreams of love and friendship and it's impossible. You're on the run for murdering a police officer and you didn't even like each other on the date. Like he was probably gonna drop her off and keep on moving. And I don't know, like watching it in that sense or in that moment, I was just like, I know that they want to try to sell us the possibility, and I feel like this movie is going to end with one of their, if not both of their deaths. I was not expecting both of them to be killed, but I definitely thought that, you know, one of them was going to be taken down, and I'm like, it's not a joyful story. This isn't how this goes. And they didn't even have it wasn't their own autonomy to become these figures. They were made into heroes and villains by the media. But I think it was important for them, like at every stop along the way, like for them to remember, like, we are being followed, we are being tracked, and it's this.
And Lena Slim kept, Queen kept saying that. She kept reiterating that.
Yeah.
And kind of towards the end, she kind of just stopped because she knows she was an atheist. She did not believe in God. Even when Slim was praying, she was like, girl, not me, honey. Like, I'm not interested in any of that. But it seemed like she had become, I wanted more for her character development. And
There could not have been more for her character development because the premise of her character was already flattened.
Yes. Because she jumped out of the gate, like one of the very first, she was always already combative. She was the one pushing him, challenging him. Remember, he was supposed to play like the docile, the guy who does everything right. Who he goes to church. He has a family. He's rooted in his town.
Trusting God.
He knows the lady at the diner. Like, he's religious. Whereas, like, she's mysterious. She always constantly says, I don't have a family. It makes her like she's on the run because she has nothing to live for.
so was Queen almost like, was she almost the bad guy almost?
Well, so a couple things. One, the way that Lena wrote this film and wrote Queen specifically, she was trying to sell us the story of the black girl who just needed some dick to get over her attitude.
Yeah.
And that's some sick ass bullshit.
Yeah.
Demonetized. But that, like,
I feel like we need a hashtag blurb.
The fact that, like, that was literally the premise of the movie, which is why I said that her character was already flattened, because she could never be more than that, because that was already what the movie was built around, was a black girl who needed to have some dick in her life to be better, to not have an attitude. And Lena tries to tell the story by saying, oh, I wrote Queen as Malcolm and Slim as MLK, and by the end of their lives, they really pretty much switched personalities. But the reality is that, for one, no one's going to ever get that from this film, because you wrote a cis-het woman and a cis-het man to be in love. And two, you wrote them having sex with each other while a black boy is being murdered by police. That was some bullshit, and it pisses me off more and more the more I think about it, because it's sick as fuck to put them in juxtaposition in the way that she did.
Yes.
Because that only further proved the point that what those two were only ever supposed to be about was to be escaping and surviving, while the rest of the world was responding to the trauma of that and trying to make them martyrs, when that's never really the actuality of any how this ever works. But what I do think was actually important from that can be pulled from that is that not everything that is political wants to be politicized.
Exactly.
And I think that is a beautiful thing, because those two were never asking to be politicized. They were only asking to survive. That was their only request the entire time. The entire movie was to survive, and everyone else saw them as opportunities to be politicized, which is why I actually don't think that they were ever being followed. I think what was being followed was a narrative around their lives and around their story that they never got to confirm or deny, and that they never got to be seen doing otherwise, because all we ever saw was the one video clip that was being played on a loop.
And to that point, I think that's the importance of the name. For them to name the film Queen and Slim, for them to go throughout the movie and we never hear their real names, and then for them to die at the end, it's over, they're gone, the hope has died with them,
and
then we get their names.
Right.
Like, it's all about the mythography of them juxtaposed against the reality of what an incident like that means for blackness, especially vulnerable blackness in the fucking Black South.
Right.
Like, you have to think about, like, the boy that was killed. This is in the rural South. They turn off, they go to the fucking body shop in the middle of nowhere on their way to freedom, and puts this entire community in harm's way because, the community saw them in blatant defiance, right? Because this is the narrative that's giving off, right? The politicization of them. They see this, they're inspired. Now you got niggas acting up, and then the police quell it, and even the murder of the child is just...
Right.
It's just, that fucked me up.
I think they were not interested in being martyrs at first, but I think they, at least Slim was interested in it a little bit. Like, would entertain the idea a little bit. That's when he wanted to take the picture.
I don't think he was interested in being a martyr. I think he was interested in cementing himself in the world, because he was always talking about legacy and remembrance.
Yes, and it was something he talked about pictures in the bed on the day.
On why he did.
Yeah, they talked about the picture.
And then by towards the end, he was talking about wanting to take a picture, and that was supposed to be the switching of personalities between him as MLK and her as Malcolm. But I don't think that was about wanting to be a martyr. I really do think it was about him wanting to have a legacy, because I think I think he knew that there was no way out for them. There was always an attempt and always a hope for a way out, but that the reality was that they are two black ass niggas in the South now running away from police, and there is no way away from that. Which is why I think that when you think about the end of the film, they were really relieved to have finally reached that plane, but also didn't look at all shocked when the police pulled up. It was like, so this is finally our moment. This is finally where we get to the point where we always knew we were going to arrive to. And so, like, I don't think that him or her were ever interested in being martyrs, and that's why I just keep going back to the scene, because it actually really fucked me up and I hated it. That's why we watch them have sex on film. They're having this. First of all, the sex actually didn't look that good, because wasn't no pussy eating, wasn't no ass eating, wasn't nothing happening. He just stuck his dick in her and she moaning. Girl, you know that's fake.
And it was hot.
And you know it was hot and nasty in that car, and like, babes, come on.
My only question for the whole film is that, girl, they must have a good GPS system, because since ain't nobody had no map, nobody had nothing.
Well, I mean, they knew they were driving in the direction of Miami, and like, if you're in the South, it ain't but a few highways, okay?
That's still a lot from Ohio all the way down.
Yeah, you take the center highway down, you get back to. I mean,
I wouldn't have made it without.
No, I don't know. A lot of people would have made it.
Look,
a lot of folks would not have made it.
So I'm like, I don't know, just follow the.
Yeah, because I remember, like back in the day, they did used to stop at gas stations and stuff, but they couldn't do that because.
They were on the run.
You see, they ran out of gas,
right?
And the sheriff said, "What's the tea?"
Now, what I don't think was ever answered here, that I actually am really curious about, is the time period. What is the time period for this?
6 days. Remember, they said that like
no. Where era are we in? Like,
right.
are we in the
moment?
I want to say they tried to do it where we are now,
From the era.
I
but
thought so too, but then when they were sitting in that lounge, it didn't feel like it.
Well, so that's also a part of it. How we write the South, this idea that you return the South is always put out there as the home, us returning home and hominess. And a part of that is this aesthetic memory of the juke joint and the hole in the wall, and knowing that I'll be able, because she's also trying to write Black Fugitivity, which she does fucking wrong. Black fugitives on the run. You got this impromptu sort of myth of the Underground Railroad happening, and they're in these podunk southern towns where we know it's some black folks with a goddamn hole in the wall, juke joint where they can go unwind, have a drink, and move on. It's how we imagine the South is not progressed, because I mean the landscape of the South is that of the deep South. I mean, I've driven from Georgia to Louisiana before. I know,
Yeah, I drove to Louisiana and I drove to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
You do see those points. I'm like, oh, and I was in the Army at one point, and driving from Memphis to Tennessee, you would see spots and stuff like that.
Because the aesthetic of the Black South is always of the past to me.
Yeah.
Like the old school cars, the fact that, the uncle is still wearing these, velour like Sean John jogging suits that, Slim puts on, and he, sort of becomes a part of the moment. You can't, looking at them, you wouldn't say they ain't from around here. That sort of thing. It's them going through the South, to me, stifles them and puts them in a moment in the same way that the geography and the landscape of the South is never given possibility.
Now, I also think, yes, and I'm thinking through, like, because you brought up Uncle Earl, and I think that like, just brought me to this point. The Queen became legitimized through a Southern sex work aesthetic.
Yes.
Wherein the sex workers themselves were never important to the plot. They were there as people who were supposed to assist too, right? But their aesthetic was enough for a queen to become a symbol, and what the symbol of queen was the sex worker. In the end, the memorial of Queen was not her in her law dressy outfit.
Her turtleneck.
Her respectable long hair.
It was in cut hair, like dingy, like I actually have worked on the street corner before. And she never actually did.
With the Puss in Boots and leopard. Around very cheetah girl outfit.
And I think that is so interesting because Uncle Earl, like,
who's the actor who played
Bokeem Woodbine?
Very talented. They call him the evil Dave Chappelle. And I think they have it.
Dave Chappelle is already evil. So.
Yeah, and he did a great job. It was good seeing India Moore. India Moore looked amazing.
I love seeing India.
They ate up every scene.
They did.
Really good.
I mean, and to eat up every scene with Queen,
but not them in the lines, but just the way they were moving.
Right.
You owned that.
Well, the movie was so well shot that, in my opinion, it could have been a silent film. We could have had the beautiful images. Maybe some poetry lines.
Every once in a while.
The score was excellent.
Yes.
The soundtrack.
Given very doors lead the trap doors.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my black skin. Black. That's my first time hearing that.
They could have absolutely just given us that.
Yeah. So, the ending. This is where I was like, I don't know about that one. We get to the ending, and like you said, Queen and Slim are looking like, girl, they got us. And the guy who was just very much hood, he had the goals, he was like...
Get on it, Deshaun, because you had this bubbling over in you at the theater. Deshaun, you should stop and talk about it.
He was like, he had this kind of like hood aesthetic where like they smoke a blunt, live your life, sis. It's just very much, and then it's just like, girl, I'ma fuck with you. Like, I'm gone.
It just reified that you're not supposed to trust trap nigga on the corner. Like, you not, like, oh my
It reified this idea that these niggas don't fucking talk to black people in the motherfucking hood. And that shit made me so sick because more often than not, the nigga who gonna play you out is the nigga in college, not the nigga on the fucking street corner because he got his own shit to deal with himself. And that's what, like, really pissed me off because, again, now he wasn't fat, but he also wasn't thin. And so, like...
Was he thick?
You know,
Girl.
that's another.
He was a black man in a larger black body, right? In the same.
He was fine.
No, he was fine.
I would
Eat his
sit on
ass,
it.
but not a chip.
Well, I wouldn't eat his ass because I don't really know what's going on, but I would have sucked his dick. Anyway,
Definitely could.
demonetized.
We are selling sex.
But I absolutely was bothered by that because niggas in the hood continue to be painted as these folks who are only ever concerned with money, who are only ever concerned with being devious, being harmful, and I just don't know that's actually the real truth about niggas from the hood. Like, I'm from the hood, and all the niggas that I know would never have done that because either they had warrants of their own that they know they wouldn't have risked that for, or they actually are more invested in community than people give on.
Absolutely.
And would not have been interested in betraying these niggas, which is why niggas in the hood don't snitch.
And what
do you like? There's no reason
and
why
it's
that
even worse than it happened after the two white folks
And then
protected them.
Right.
And it made it seem as though the white wife was going to be the one to say, you know what, this can pay off our mortgage, because they asked how much are we worth.
Right.
And she said, well, $250. And they said, well, $250 separate together, like separate. So she said, girl, we can pay off our mortgage.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, y'all can't go for these white protectors protecting them, these Quakers, these new age Quakers protecting them, and then the black quote unquote hood dude who's smoking blunts and stuff with them is the one that sold them out for $250.
But that's why I said that there's holes in the plot, because
Yes.
what we still do not know is how the police even knew to contact him to set them up.
Right.
Did he work with the Shepherds, or was he already?
I think he saw them and recognized who they were. I think he was like protecting his property and saw them and said, oh, it's them.
Yeah,
That's
and
them.
made the call.
And then pretended. I think he was ready to sell them out. That was the call that he was making. That's why he was like,
Oh no!
tomorrow.
Yeah, the call was about them.
Yeah, so he had to go ahead and do it. I don't think the person in the airplane knew about it.
No.
I don't think the person in the airplane knew about it. I'm really against that.
I don't know, because the person turned the airplane off.
Yeah, because it was over with. They were gonna shoot his ass up too.
But then we never see him again. So that's like so many parts of the movie just didn't. So it was written so poorly.
And then how do we divorce sort of country mentality from hood mentality is also some shit that grinds my fucking gears. Because black folks, whether the fucking trap is in the city or on the fucking countryside, like, it's still like, it's blackness. So why is home painted in this shiesty ass juke joint in the middle of the nowhere in this goddamn southern country ass like body automotive guy at the body shop who openly doesn't agree with them, but then the nigga who sells them out is the painted ass hood nigga.
Did James Frey jump out? Let's talk about James Frey, because I think that they've done a good job of not Lena said no white hands went into this,
and then his name is
his
just
story is
this is his story. I think we're gonna get into I'm gonna get into a little bit of the branding thing.
Okay.
I think that's why y'all named it Queen and Slim. Y'all wanted this blackness stuff. Even in the trailer, you couldn't really tell what was going on. I think a lot of people automatically got, oh, these black folks, they out here killing cars. Like, oh my God. Like, Universal was never going to allow something like that. Not in this climate right now. Like, they had to die. They had to. And I think that's why y'all did so many focus groups to see, like, are we making the black folks okay? But also, are we making the white folks feel comfortable enough to go see it, because we need their coin as well? Because this is coming out around Thanksgiving. I don't think we will ever, there was a conversation I remember you and Joy were having, we will never see any quote unquote woke ass film without, like, there's being money made off of it. So it's always going to be watered down. It's always going to be that. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I didn't know who James Frey was until I started to do research. And I was doing research on who James Frey is. This is a person who does not have a good history, who's been done some conniving stuff. He's been talked about the book that he wrote, I think, A Million Pieces. A little million pieces or whatever. Girl, you good. Come to find out his story wasn't even his.
Ooh.
The story wasn't even his. Yes.
So he's used to writing stories that
yes.
own.
And then when you think about Lena, because Lena has done some interviews. And Lena is one of those folks, like somebody joked and said, Lena is the only black person at the table. And sometimes that's not a good thing.
No.
If they are the only black person at the table, that's not a good thing. And she did one. I haven't listened to one on the read. I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't had the chance to because I was gonna
wait.
I was gonna wait because that was the one that was full of spoilers.
But it was there was something mentioned that people talked about. It was specific.
Yeah.
When she talked about Asada, the Shakur, Asada, Shakur. Okay.
So she did mention her. I don't remember exactly what she said because what stuck with me were the Malcolm X and MLK points and the part about mirroring the little boy in the film after Tamir Rice. That really pissed me the fuck off.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Because Tamir Rice wasn't in activist posture at all.
At all.
He was literally.
And we don't have to imagine what he would have been, what it would have been like if he had a gun, because what was said is that he had a toy gun, which is why he was shot. So why the fuck are we even?
There is no source of imagination. Like, he's assumed threat because he's a black person, a black. That
shit.
So is this the new is?
I think this could have been a very beautiful Asada biography.
Yes.
It would have been a dope-ass biography of Asada and what she did and what she did not do and all the things. And it turned into some poorly written, horrifically written, beautifully shot bullshit that could have been kept in the vault. Like, it didn't...
The Disney vault? It might as well.
Or it could have just been done like Lemonade and like Moonlight, beautifully shot films, very little lines, great fucking music.
Just driving, just driving.
But the thing about Moonlight is that there was and Lemonade is that there was something so powerful about the story itself.
Yeah.
That was able to sell us even before we even got into like the roles, and then the acting was great, and then the cinematography was great, and then like the plot was great. This one, all it has that I'm leaning on is cinematography, and I'm gonna be honest.
Did a good job.
Who?
Jodie Turner-Smith. You don't think she did a good job?
Who was that?
That's the one who played.
Oh, Jodie Turner-Smith. Right. No, I actually do think that she did a good job.
I think she did good. Somebody said she.
I think Daniel did a great
job.
He did an okay job.
Yeah.
I didn't say my last point to shade Moonlight. It's something I hold near and dear to my heart. Like, when I talk about black art that has happened in this sort of last decade that I want to hold near and dear to, Moonlight is very close to getting that shit.
Right. Yeah, I've seen it about 3 or 4 times.
But to say that the beauty of that film is the fact to me that the lines are limited and what is said is so fucking powerful that what goes unsaid can be compensated by this beautiful cinematography. Like, if Queen and Slim drops the ball because they sat there and tried to write every fucking moment. Trying to fill the gaps with fluff. Trying to give us moments to key. And it falls flat every time.
I just like, I'm gonna be honest, and I might get dragged for this, and that's okay.
Used to it.
I am very used to it.
Yeah,
but you was just harassing Elizabeth Warren not too long ago.
Yeah, they drag my ass for anything, so it's whatever. But I don't find anything inherently revolutionary about putting 2 dark-skinned black people on the screen, because
watching them die.
And like I do find it to be very beautiful. And also, I'm so sick of these writers making all these films and TV shows with dark-skinned black characters, and all of them are thin. So we can't keep holding on to this idea that there are, oh my God, we've never seen no dark, because in the last few years especially, we absolutely have. And all of you are writing these characters and shooting them beautifully, these beautiful ass dark-skinned characters, and every single one of them are thin. Yeah. So what now? What do we do now that we're post Moonlight, post David Makes Man, post Queen Sugar, post Queen and Slim, like all these films, post Atlanta, like by David Donald Glover, like all these folks, post Insecure, all these beautiful TV
photography
shows
coming out too.
Yes.
And honestly, in there you got
folks been talking about that too.
And you got the what's his name, the fat guy is kind of like the friend of what's his name.
Yeah,
and I love him. I love him. Like he did the same thing in
Get Out.
Yes. Yes.
We're in a post us and post Get Out era. Like all these beautiful ass
And
films and
Winston
TV
Duke
shows.
cannot be our only exception. You can't continue to
He
cast
can't,
a Winston
girl.
Duke.
He can't.
who is
That's the
gym
acceptable
body.
fit that they love,
he's still fit body.
It's just exhausting. And I still need to write this piece on Us. Even his role in Us was still playing into the tropes around fat people because he
Absolutely.
existed in a larger black body where he only existed as the ditz and the fucking comedic relief. He didn't. His sexy moment was still a comedic relief.
and
Like,
the sense of ultimate fear and terror because his tethered was the one that was feared the most
Right.
in the movie. Like
Right.
Come on, get into
he
it.
posed the biggest threat when you really.
I have a
Yes.
whole thing written and I gotta like actually flesh out and publish, but like I'm exhausted by it. I don't know what it will take, but this doesn't feel revolutionary to me, and I'm actually tired of watching these films and these TV shows because everyone is so excited about seeing themselves on screen, and I'm like, that's cute for you, sis.
Yeah.
I wish I could say the same because I'm dark skinned, but the dark skin I'm seeing on my screen is not the dark skin that I am, or it's not in the body that I'm in.
Yeah.
And also, we keep writing this new world. It seems like where there's a whole world over here of dark skinned black characters now, where we have all of the names that I just listed, and then some, and all of them are third.
Yeah.
So still, fat black dark skinned folks exist in some abyss somewhere across the fucking
We
galaxy.
don't have a name on the script.
It's just like we are the plump black man and the bartender and the fucking
Chubby
and
boy.
chubby and
Going to get food.
large black man.
Going to
And
get
when you
food.
get center stage like Precious, you are subjected to nothing but violence.
Right.
No shot at joy. No shot at happiness. The only thing that you get is some tap dance, re-scripted, overdone progress narrative that, oh, she goes to each one, teach one, and can somehow escape her mother's violence. Like, what?
It's just exhausting to watch, and it's like
Yeah.
I actually don't need to spend my money on any of this shit because
No, we
I
didn't
can
do it
watch.
today.
I already seen it.
Absolutely.
I've already seen it.
I'm gonna
So
thank you for that.
why do I need to watch it again when you're writing the same stories with the same characters? Like literally, Daniel, love him down. He's beautiful, and also you've been in Get Out, Black Panther. Another film, and now this one too, which is totally fine. Like,
And
get your
they're about
point.
to be in a film about Fred Hampton too, ain't it?
They tried to. They
Yeah.
tried.
What happened to
That
it?
was a Twitter pitch.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, there was a Twitter conversation because Monday was the 50th anniversary of, I hate to even call that shit an anniversary, but
Right.
the 50th anniversary of the murder of Fred Hampton by, Chicago, by the Chicago Police Department. And, the Black Twitter conversation again was, if we get a film about, Fred Hampton, these are the actors that we want to see, but
And I'm so sick of it. It was Daniel and Lakeith.
Lakeith.
Please. He's
and I
coming up
love
in.
Lakeith Stanfield and I love Daniel, but at the same time, there's got to be more black actors in the vault.
And they're not even Black American act. Well, Lakeith
Lakeith
is, but Daniel is not.
But Daniel spoke to that on the read. I did listen to that interview.
Okay.
So I think the week that the film came out, last week's episode of the read, they sat down and they talked to Daniel himself, and he was talking about, while he's not Black American, there is a shared experience of Black oppression across the diaspora, and that yes, in London, England, they absolutely experience instances of police brutality, police violence. Shit like the Windrush, scandal happens to them there. Police is immigrant, that sort of thing. So I get it. But
So then why didn't he play a character that was based off of Black Brits?
yeah, that's
He played a Black American.
That's what I'm saying
A
too.
couple of
Like,
them.
and I thought that ever since Idris Elba played a central role on The Wire, like
Yes.
you get a nigga from London to come over and play one of the central gangster characters that is in a show that is so Baltimore. Like it's most of the cast are folks from Baltimore who have the authentic accent and can relate to this sort of the mood and the climate of the show. And then you have a Black Brit who comes in and he's playing, one of the big kingpins. And so we've seen it time and time again. I hated listening to him attempt a Black Midwestern accent.
I bet it was garbage.
Oh my God. I want to talk about Black memory as portrayed in the film.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ending point, you asked about our reactions to the ending. And for me, watching them be murdered by the police, it was jarring, in the way that it happened, yes. But what shook me more was the way that they portrayed memory. And I've been working through this a lot. I've been writing about this in, first like just academic in school, but also starting to do it in more informal essay form. Just the way that we invest so much in Black memory. And I just love the fact, like Hortense Spillers, who is, yes,
brilliant.
What just a mind. She is top 3 and she ain't 3 of my favorite scholars.
Yes.
I love her so much. But she says that Black memory is dangerous. Once we memorialize and we get to the point where we say, here's a museum to something, here's commemoration. When we get to the point of commemoration, that means we have acknowledged it, and this gives us permission to stop. She even says, like, we have reached that quote unquote mountaintop. And so now we have permission to stop pushing, to stop fighting, to stop demanding. And so to see them go on a 6-day thing where allegedly the whole nation, especially the whole Black nation, are projecting these images of hope of, they did it and they on the run and we rooted for them, and if they come through my town, I got them, like they got home everywhere. Then they are murdered by the police, as we know happens to Black folks for, playing with a toy gun.
Right.
As we know to consistently happen. And then they are memorialized via these murals in the hood. That it's very intentional that the photo of them that went viral is blown up and posted up by what seems to be Black folks in the hood in an urban community, looking to them as these martyrs. It's like, how long do they keep up the memory of Queen and Slim as something with revolutionary potential? Do we even remember them as that way, or is it just that sad story where what was going to happen to them in the first place? Like, you can't run, so boom, we remember you for a moment, like, wow, what a moment,
right?
And then we move on.
They got a shirt. One of them at the end of
the kid is playing with
a shirt.
They have them on T-shirts, and I'm just like, is even assumed Black defiance and Black fugitivity just always something to be remembered and commodified, but not something that could possibly spark a long-term revolution? Like, is this something that, wow, that happened, you see what happened to them niggas, let's put it on a T-shirt, but just go on like we have to be safe?
So you can be sitting in the gas station.
It robbed their whole story of the revolutionary potential, but
I guarantee it was part of the gas
in
station.
that way. It fucks me up.
I would like to. I think I would like to see. I would have liked to see more of Queen and her atheism or whatever she had going on, because at the end she did say grace. So I want to know why. How does she? I don't think I did a good job of explaining.
It's the
that.
Malcolm and Martin sort of.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm just like, girl, no, ma'am. Like, because I'm an atheist, so I was. In that moment when she said, like when she was saying grace and she was looking around, that's me. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to go home for Thanksgiving dinner, because I was like, I don't feel like getting into that conversation of me being disrespectful or
you don't say the grace no more?
No, I don't. No, I don't want to, and I shouldn't have to be made to do that. So to see her, say grace and seem like she was just, changed, I'm just like, I didn't like to see it. But it was a great film as far as the cinematography.
Yes.
I think this is a learning moment for people like Lena Waithe and other folks, that if y'all gonna do the work, y'all have to actually do the work, because this stuff gets. I feel like they just need to speak to people instead of just assuming just because they saw a thread about it on Twitter.
But I don't even think you can't. The shit that we have seen in these motherfucking streets, the shit that we have experienced navigating our fucking cities as fucking fugitives.
But tell them no. If they tell you don't do it, girl, then don't do it.
No, but there is no talking to us and getting that.
No, that's not.
We have to. It's either we do it or the shit just don't need to be done.
That's what I'm more interested in, is smaller creators doing it. I just don't think when it gets to that type of universal level, it's going to be good. I mean, we see what happened with Harriet. And
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either, and I don't want to see it. It could be
I'm sorry,
walking down the Underground Railroad, and I wouldn't hear choo-choo. But
sorry to this film.
Sorry to this woman. I don't know that I have any like real final thoughts besides the fact that I am just really over fat black people being the butt of everyone's jokes. I'm tired of us being the mammies whose bosoms don't need a break.
Ooh.
I'm tired of us being the minds that don't ever get to rest. I'm tired of us being people's safe houses, but we never get to enter a safe house with them. Like, I am exhausted by that reality because exactly what's painted on screen is precisely what we are treated like in person, in real life. And
By our own friends.
people, I'm exhausted by us being desexualized or over-sexualized, never romanticized, never able to be romantic, never able to have any real depth as a character, never really have any real substance as a character. And the moments in which we do get written as characters were the predator, the comedic relief, or the caretaker. Never anything more, never anything less. And I think that's really just where I am with the black film canon in general. Like,
Yeah.
all these things have been created, all these beautiful, beautiful shows and movies have been created in the last few years. The last 3-4 years, really, that have gone on to win amazing ass awards, Emmys and Grammys, and all these different awards and all these different beautiful accolades, and it all only belongs to thin and gym-bodied people. And it's like, at what point do fat black people get to enter into this new world where we get to feel held and cared for too?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I really got nothing else to say about it. The movie was less than great. The acting was subpar. The writing was horrible. And I wish it nothing but the worst.
Yeah.
So.
But I do think it should get awards for cinematography and the score.
I agree with that. The score and the
soundtrack
cinematography,
and the cinematography
it deserves
are
that.
excellent.
Everything else.
We don't need the lines.
Yeah, everything else would be a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are our thoughts. Check out Deshaun's piece on
WhereYourVoice.com, where
Yes.
I am the associate editor.
Absolutely. Tasia, will you be dropping anything about the film?
You know, I may do something with the memory piece just because I've been writing on Black memory in space in the Black South. Like those, those are my babies. I will go to war with you about the Black ass South. So I may give y'all something about the South.
Something we can feel,
About
something
some
we can
memory,
use.
Maybe
Yes.
something both.
Absolutely.
Blowing y'all a little something.
Yes.
I need to sit down with my books and texts and really think through what is this film showing me?
Yes. Well, you can check out my video. I did a review on it last week. It is on kingareach.com. Thank you all so much for another sickening episode of In the Middle.
Thank
Until
you.
next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.